Hello, YouTube. How's it going? So, the vaccine passport thing, huh? Wow, we didn't predict this, a while ago, and they're going to say, of course, that they're not for it, and then eventually it's just going to end up being passed anyway globally because it's a global government. It has nothing to do with, it's nothing to do with the United States and what its policies are. People in the United States are so blind to the global political situation. They think that because if America doesn't do it, that the rest of the world won't do it. And you think that if the rest of the world doesn't do it, eventually it's not going to happen here. The British are already basically allowing it to happen. The Chinese basically, the Chinese have already made it what it is. And it's funny because Black Mirror, that show on Netflix and everything, predicted this perfectly. Isn't that odd? Isn't it odd that Black Mirror predictive programming predicted all of this and that now we're sort of living in the world where that's going to be the norm? I think that's really interesting and funny. Funny in the sense that it's hysterical in the sense that we should all be being in hysterics about this, but because we've been conditioned by the media and by our sort of cultural engineers to ignore it, it's just fine. Isn't that great? It's so great. So anyway, that's the thing coming down the pipeline. Now the other thing is, Israel is run by Zionist globalists that ultimately just want to enslave the entirety of humanity for their own self-aggrandizement. But that's just beside the point. It doesn't matter because the reality is we're going to ignore that for our own sort of temporary satisfaction with being able to buy things while we still can. And consumerism, consumerism has basically led to socialism as it does because you get entitled and you get to the sense where you should be able to just have things without earning them. And, that inevitably leads to us consuming ourselves, actually, and consuming our own rights and our freedoms for the sake of having conveniences. So all praise the technocracy. Isn't it great? We're living in a technocracy now. We thought we were living in a, democracy, but it's a technocracy. And we weren't even supposed to be in a democracy. It's supposed to be a republic. But, that was too much of a dictatorship. So now we need to have a more far-reaching dictatorship that's going to tell us by experts what to live and how to live and what to believe and all that good stuff. So we can all look forward to the inevitable China-like global tyranny. That's just sort of an inevitability. Really, it was all an inevitability. We were all going to end up living under dictatorship one way or the other. Just historical precedent based, it's an inevitability. The question is, at a certain point, are we going to be, finding the people who are responsible for this while we still can, and like the Japanese honeybee, pounce on them all in unison? The question is, are we going to organize and be, do we have that capacity in us to be aware of serious threats, not just sort of the benign threats that they put on us, like, terrorism and infectious diseases, which harm almost no one. I think the death rate or whatever the rate of lethality for people my age and below, anybody below 50 really is like 90. It's 2.002% or something. So, but we have to shut down society and culture because we have to weaken all of the institutions that aren't under state control, obviously, and then replace them with things like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube and Google. Because, if it isn't under state control, then it's not. And if we can't censor you in those platforms without any recourse, then you won't accept the vaccine, which isn't something that you can prosecute against the makers of. So they're absolutely unaccountable for any of the wrongs that they're going to commit. They're the powers that be are absolutely ecstatic about the future. I mean, you look at Bill Gates, and he's just got his hands flailing around everywhere. He's just so excited. Um, and so, yeah, the plutocratic technocracy is taking over, and we can all just be happy that they're going to be able to control our lives because they know better. You know, I mean, they know better, so just accept it. Anyway, I hope you all just shut up and accept the tyranny. Peace.